Welcome to the Endgame, the show where I play MMOs till endgame to help you determine if a game is worth your time. Today, we're playing Guild Wars 2. The overview. Guild Wars 2 was released in 2012 as the sequel and successor to the original Guild Wars, which was developed by ArenaNet and published by NCSoft in 2005. Guild Wars 2 has sold over 5 million copies to date, and in 2015 changed to a free-to-play model with only the expansion being buy-to-play. The game features a high fantasy persistent world with dynamic group events that can be joined at any time, as well as an action combat system and a level 80 cap. The gameplay. Starting with abilities, slot 1 through 5 are reserved for your weapons, and slot 0 to 6 for your class abilities. Each class has its own mechanics and elite specialization, which give it a unique playstyle and provide a high level of versatility in each class. Your 1 to 5 abilities are changed based on what weapon you are using and what hand you're using it in. For example, 1 to 3 are for main hand, whereas 3 and 5 are your offhand skills, and you can mix and match to fit your playstyle. Each class also has 5 unique specializations and 1 elite specialization that can be unlocked at level 80, with only 3 of these being equipable at a time, and new slots being opened at levels 21, 45, and 71. This means that every character can have a vastly different playstyle, making it unique to the player. The game also features a dynamic event system with events specific to each map. These events will play out even if there is no one participating in them, potentially changing the next events in the area. Some of these can actually build up to an overarching story featuring a final boss at the end, such as in the Silver Waste map, where you have to defend bases, escort cargoes, and kill enemies, leading up to a raid-style boss battle with an enemy called Vinewrath. However, the game does not necessarily have to revolve around only combat, events, and quests. The game also has a map completion system, which features jumping puzzles and vast world exploration. You'll have to find different vista points, points of interest, waypoints, challenges, and more, which grants you experience, achievements, and items. The story. Guild Wars 2 features a personal story which is, to a degree, unique to each character. The story can change based on what race you choose, what choices you make, and what faction you choose to join later on in the story. This means that every player's story is at least somewhat unique, even if only for one quest or one line of dialogue. The story is told through voice-acted player instances and cutscenes.
He's done, soldier. Either he lives to continue serving the Corps as best he can, or he dies in the name of Legion discipline. Either way, the decision's yours. Kill him, or cast him out of your warband.
After completing the main story, you have the Living Worlds Season 1 through 3, which provide additional story quests, some of which cost permanent changes to the world. You also have the Heart of Thorns expansion, which can expand the story. Overall, the story is enjoyable, although in my opinion, it's not quite as engaging as something like Star Wars: The Old Republic or The Secret World. I still think it's a pretty big step above most other MMOs, however, and it does also have a very extensive lore and backstory for anybody interested in that. The leveling. If you purchase the Heart of Thorns expansion, you also get a max level boost. However, I haven't used mine, so for the sake of this section, I'm gonna assume you haven't either and aren't going to. If you're planning on buying the expansion and using the boost, then you can skip this leveling section by clicking here. So there are plenty of ways in this game to go about leveling, and it depends on how you want to approach it. Some of the main ways that I can think of are crafting, world versus world, and PvP, which provide tombs of experience that grant levels, map completion and world exploration, personal story and dungeons, and map events, as well as special events like the Halloween or Christmas dungeons. It comes down to what you like doing most. If you enjoy jumping puzzles and exploring the world of Tyria, then you could get to level 80 with around 40 to 50% world map completion, so long as you do an event or story quest occasionally along the way. Crafting, on the other hand, is probably going to be the fastest and easiest method so long as you have the gold. You can look up a guide, buy everything you need, and craft while you're watching a movie or doing anything else, really. Getting to level 400 in a profession grants you 7 levels, and getting to level 500 grants you 10. Choosing crafting as your sole means of leveling, however, would cost you around 800 gold, as you'd need to level almost every profession to level 500. This 800 gold equals about $60 US when converted from gems, and is overall an unreasonable amount of gold. However, if you choose to do your story and events until about level 31, you could gain the next 49 levels through crafting for around 160 to 200 gold by leveling 7 professions to level 400. Although this is far more reasonable, it's not exactly easily attainable for a level 31 character. In my opinion, the most enjoyable way to level is to just do your personal story and experience the world through exploration, as that is what I feel the game does best and has the most to offer. However, if you don't care about that very much, there's still another option for you: PvP. The PvP. Guild Wars 2 features 2 main types of PvP: structured PvP and world vs world PvP. World vs world includes a persistent world where matches last about a week and features siege weapons, defenses, and objectives. 3 servers fight off against each other for control of 5 different maps, all within the same world instance. Your level is scaled up to 80, however you play using your own gear and abilities. World vs World is mainly a Zerg fest, with large armies fighting against each other for control of objectives. Structured PvP, on the other hand, is 5 vs 5 and features Conquest, Team Deathmatch, and Stronghold. In structured PvP, you're set to max level and also gain access to all of your class's abilities and specializations, as well as special PvP equipment, making it a good way to try out new classes and builds. Both feature track rewards, which can grant you experience tombs and items. The Endgame. Once you reach level 80, you can start working on your elite specialization. Each class has a unique elite which can drastically change the playstyle of your character, allowing you to equip new weapon types and providing you with new mechanics and abilities. In order to unlock your elite specialization, you'll need to have completely leveled all 5 of your previous specializations through the use of hero points, which can be earned from leveling and doing hero challenges found throughout the world. So now you've got your elite specialization, you're all geared up in level 80 exotic gear. What now? Well, now you can do level 80 story quests, such as the Living World Season 1 through 3, and if you have the Heart of Thorns expansion, you can start doing the Heart of Maguma story and leveling up your mastery points in Maguma and unlock gliding. Keep in mind, however, that if you do not have the Heart of Thorns expansion, not all masteries will be available to you, as many of them require you to complete goals in the Heart of Maguma to level them. Mastery points are account-wide and can be applied to mastery trees once you've earned enough experience. To earn experience in a track, you simply choose it and continue to play and earn experience as you normally would. Once you maxed it out, you can apply the mastery points you've earned from doing story quests, achievements, world bosses, or even simply finding them in the world. Aside from story quests, you can also gain access to fractals, which are these really fun mini dungeons that grant you items and currency needed to buy ascended gear from the fractal merchant. Now technically, you can do fractals at any level because it does scale you up to level 80. However, you'll have a hard time finding a group if you're under level 80, as these fractals can already get somewhat difficult when you have level 80 exotic gear, so trying to do them at level 40 with level 35 rare gear is probably not the best idea. You then have the normal dungeons and 10-man raids, as you'd expect in any MMO. But to be quite honest, getting to max level doesn't unlock too much new content. Even places like the Silver Waste, which is one of the best ways to grind gold in my opinion, can be accessed at any level. And if you find a big enough farming train, you're more or less safe. Although you will need to find banded keys somehow. Most of the max level content is really just an extension of the early content. You have more story, you have more dungeons, and you get access to raids. But there really isn't too much content that's locked behind a max level only wall. For that reason, I'd say it's not worth power leveling as fast as you can to reach endgame. If the journey from 1 to 80 isn't fun for you, the content at 80 probably won't be either, because in my opinion what Guild Wars 2 does the best is the story and the map exploration. And if you do want to try out things like fractals, nothing is stopping you from getting some friends together and doing it together. Would I keep playing? Guild Wars 2 is a really good game, with a great story and great content. However, I personally don't think I'll keep playing it much, at least not until another expansion comes out. I've had a lot of fun with the game, however I personally don't really enjoy the Heart of Maguma content. The theme doesn't really appeal to me, and I feel like I've already played through enough of the content that I don't feel it necessary to continue. However, I think that everyone should at least give it a try. It's free and you have nothing to lose, and at the very least, you will have a fun experience leveling up to 80. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Endgame. I hope this was very helpful to you, and happy leveling.